I'm not introducing Andrew, and he's starting in with us today. And you know what it is. You know why you're here. Of course, it's totally unbiased. And today is Monday, so if you've been following us, you know what today is. Totally overreacting. So me and Andrew today, we're going to totally overreact right after you hear our socials.
As usual, guys, all our social medias on TikTok and Instagram, you can follow us at Totally Unbiased, on Twitter at YT_unbiased, and right here on YouTube where you're watching this video, make sure you subscribe, hit that bell icon for notifications so you never miss a new video, and make sure you also like this video and stay up to date with our daily content.
All right, so totally overreacting. Let's talk about these games. Let's overreact a little bit. So, looks like on Thursday, we had the Jets travel to Indianapolis to play the Colts. As expected for a lot of people, the Colts whooped the Jets. Um, Big final score, 45, I believe 45. Hold on, it's cut off on my screen. 45-30. Not good for the Jets. Mike White went down on the second drive. Well, he got hurt in the first drive, went down, never came back in the second drive. Josh Johnson actually played really well. Looks like the only quarterback that's not playing well on their team is Zach Wilson. Colts can run the ball better than anyone I've ever seen. That's all their game. And Carson Wentz is playing flawless football when he doesn't have to throw 30 plus or 32 plus times. Andrew, thoughts on this game?
Thoughts on this game? I mean, for the Jets, it looks like same. Look at all their quarterbacks. I mean, I saw a video on this. It's like all these guys are just coming out of thin air with the most generic names possible. Mike White, Josh Johnson, and all these guys that they got. They're just coming out of nowhere, and I just think that quarterback is their issue because Zach Wilson really hasn't performed well. Mike White had one good game, and then he gets injured, and Josh Johnson was able to keep them somewhat in it, but nowhere close enough to a win. So, I mean, the Colts definitely prevailed easily for them on this one.
Yeah, the Jets gave their fans a little bit of false optimism. It is what it is, unfortunately. Next game, the Falcons traveled to New Orleans and beat the Saints in the Superdome by a score of 27-25. The Falcons had an 18-point lead with 10 minutes left with a 98% win percentage, and they had themselves down by one with less than a minute to go. They drove right down the field. Cordero Patterson makes a great catch. He is unbelievable. I guess the team finally knows how to use him. And they kick a walk-off field goal to beat the Saints. Trevor Siemian looked uneven, to say the least.
Yeah, no, I really don't have much to say about this game. It is kind of worrisome because, like you said, they were up by as many points as they were. There's like a choking philosophy with Atlanta. They easily could have choked this game away. So it's amazing to see that every time the Falcons seem to have a lead, you can never be sure about them. Until the clock hits zero, you can never be sure about this team because they will go up by 18 and then you'll be worried in the final seconds wondering if they're going to pull it out or not.
Yeah, absolutely. That Saints offense looked dead, and then out of nowhere, boom, they're back. But they're the Falcons and the Saints. These are both teams we're going to talk about later in a later segment on this episode. So make sure you stay tuned to that. We're going to talk playoff picture, a lot of different things. But let's move on. The Broncos traveled to Dallas to play the Cowboys. The Broncos have won the last 6 matchups against the Cowboys, and this week made it 7. They won 30-16. This game was really 30-0. Dallas scored twice within the last 3 minutes of the game, kind of just garbage time scores. Dak Prescott looked horrible. Less than 50% of his passes were completed. Broncos defense looked good. Trayvon Diggs had a bad game. Tim Patrick beat him deep. Jerry Jeudy got going a little bit. He had about 69 yards on 6 catches. Sutton didn't do much, but again, the Broncos played some solid ball. They're defensively without Von Miller. They actually won this game, and they beat down on the Cowboys in Dallas, which is a tough thing to do.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Teddy Bridgewater had a good game with a passing and a rushing touchdown. Javonte Williams looked good with over 100 rushing yards and receiving. I'm pretty sure Tim Patrick led this week with 85, 90 yards receiving. So, I mean, the Broncos did look good on all fronts. And like you said, it is surprising that their defense did what they did against that Dallas offense without Von Miller. So it's nice to see that they still have potential, basically. I mean, they're not, a lot of people thought that once they traded him, that they basically were giving
They
up
were
on the
packaging
season.
him.
Yeah, but they definitely got some fight in them for the rest of this season.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Definitely the Broncos. The Broncos are a weird team. They've always been a weird team. I always struggle to understand them. I really do. I don't understand what they do. I really don't. They win games against bad teams, and then they play a team like the Cowboys and they just whoop them. But the next game was an ugly game. Wasn't very fun to watch, but there were definitely headlines. 24-6, the Patriots took down the Panthers. Oh boy, are the Patriots back, Andrew? I think they might be.
Yeah, I mean, what I've been hearing, I think the Patriots are a team that when you look at them now, they're 5-4, and I think down the stretch, if they get into the playoffs, you got to be worried because of that defense and the fact that it's a Bill Belichick coach team. I really think that there's something great behind them. The fact that Sam Darnold had 3 interceptions, no touchdowns, McCaffrey was held to under 100 rushing yards. I mean, this Patriots defense is really something you got to look out for because they're going to keep them in a game no matter what the scenario is because Mac Jones doesn't have to have a crazy offensive performance for this team to win games because they got that defense.
Yeah, and this is more of a this game. I already thought, if you watched last week, me and Andrew talked. I said the Patriots are back. Andrew pretty much agreed, and look, the Patriots are back. But I want to talk about the Panthers real quick. They're now 4-5. They started off 3-0. McCaffrey had a total of 106 total yards. 4 catches for 54, 14 rushes for 52. But Sam Darnold is terrible. I mean, 16 for 33, under 50% of his passes for 170 yards, 3 interceptions, including a pick six in the red zone and an interception in the end zone. 2 separate drives. Terrible, Sam Darnold. Absolutely terrible. They can't get DJ Moore going at all. He had 3 catches for 30 yards on 7 targets. It's not even close. Darnold is, I mean, he got figured out pretty quickly that he's still not a good quarterback. So not good at all for the Patriots. Or not. I'm sorry. Not good at all for the Panthers. The Patriots look like they continue to step up and play good football. But the next game we're going to go to, the Vikings traveled to Baltimore to play the Ravens at M&T Bank Stadium, and the Ravens pulled away in this one late with a final score of 34-31. The Ravens looked really bad in the first half, really bad. And then the Vikings looked really bad in the second half. And this is the fifth game the Vikings have lost by 1 possession. And in every one of those games, they've had a chance to go down the field and win it. And they didn't do it. I mean, to get an interception on Lamar in overtime and then to go 3-and-out is unacceptable. The Vikings are 3-5 because they play like they're 3-5. They cannot finish games.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I mean, Lamar Jackson had a good game with 120 rushing yards. He also had 3 touchdowns. But those 2 interceptions, I mean, that really should have been the the falling point for the Ravens. I mean, Kirk Cousins didn't throw an interception in this game, and they weren't able to capitalize on their defense making these plays. I mean, like you said, you have an interception in overtime and you go 3-and-out and you don't capitalize and you don't go down and win this game. I mean, it's stuff like that that keeps them, like you said, where they are at 3-5 because that's kind of what they look like. If you can't capitalize on stuff like that, that's what's going to happen.
Absolutely, and Kirk Cousins is always missing huge throws every game. Like he is good like for most of the game, and then he misses a really important throw. Like he had Justin Jefferson on an out route to get a first down in the red zone after getting a turnover, and they didn't do it. He short armed it, spiked it right into the floor. I mean, he continues to do this stuff, Kirk Cousins, to show he might not ever be a good enough quarterback to win a big game. The next game, the Browns 41, the Bengals 16 in Cincinnati. So the Browns, the whole drama with Odell Beckham happens all week. Then they go to Cincinnati and whoop the Bengals by score 41-16. They scored 41 points without Beckham. Baker Mayfield had his highest career passer rating in the first, or his highest passer rating of the season in the first half. He threw a 60-yard touchdown. Donovan Peoples-Jones, Nick Chubb had a 72-yard rushing touchdown, I believe, and Denzel Ward a 99-yard pick six. So whatever issues we thought the Browns might have had without Beckham, seems like they don't have it. The Bengals look like they might have been fooling us. Could have been fool's gold.
Yeah, no, I definitely think the Bengals weren't a lock as a fantastic team, but they definitely, regardless this season, surprised us a lot more with the amount of games that they won. I don't think anyone would expect them to technically be tied with the Browns right now at 5-4. And like you said, I mean, Nick Chubb, he had an amazing game, 137 yards and 2 touchdowns. Kind of wish I still had him in fantasy, but that's for the next video. But no, I mean, the Browns, they definitely didn't need Odell Beckham. And It's sad. I mean, speaking of Odell Beckham, real quick, I just hope he goes to a team that actually utilizes him very well and he's a good fit where he goes. But yeah, the Browns beat down on the Bengals, and it was definitely a bad week for the Bengals, but I definitely think we could still see some wins out of them down the stretch.
Yeah, definitely with the Browns, there seemed to be a lot of offensive chemistry and cohesion as soon as Beckham left the offense. Sometimes that just happens. Sometimes it's just not a good fit, and it doesn't look like it was a good fit there. Not much to talk about in this next game. Bills 6, Jacksonville 9 in Jacksonville. I don't know what the Bills did. Josh Allen played horrible for the Bills, but Josh Allen for the Jaguars, 2 tackles for loss, eight tackles, an interception, a sack on Josh Allen, a forced fumble, and a fumble recovery. What a game! What a game by Josh Allen of the Jaguars. Josh Allen of the Bills choked against probably the worst team in football outside of the Detroit Lions, and now they're 2-6, and Buffalo is 5-3. I mean, there's not really much going on in the division, but the Patriots don't look now. They're a half a game out of the division. Something to keep an eye on. This game, there really wasn't much to talk about in these next two games, so I'm just going to run through them quickly. Texans 9, Dolphins 17. This could have been the ugliest game of all time. I think there were like 6 or 7 combined turnovers. Ugly game, boring game. If you watch that game, I think you need help. And the final game I'm going to talk about, preview, the Raiders travel to New York, take on the Giants. The Giants prevailed 23-16. It looked like Derek Carr made 3 grave mistakes in 3 really bad situations. Once you get the ball in the second half, Derek Carr, tried to throw an out route to Hunter Renfro. Xavier McKinney returned it for an interception, returned for a touchdown, a pick 6, to put the Giants up 17-16. And then Carr was looking down the sideline again for Brian Edwards on a double move. Xavier McKinney watched him the whole way. Carr stared it down. Interception. So Xavier McKinney, like, he's probably going to win Defensive Player of the Week. Had a great week, 2 picks, bunch of tackles. I really want to point out the Raiders here. We're not going to go too in depth. I want to point out the Raiders real quick. Carr had 3 turnovers: the pick 6, the pick with 5 minutes left, and the fumble with 44 seconds left in the red zone. Carr lost them this game. He was very adamant about he lost them. He said, "I need to be better," which is what you'd like to see. But we're going to talk about it a little later. The NFC or the AFC West is a little weird. I'm not really sure what's going on there. Andrew, any quick thoughts on this game?
No, not really. I'm happy to see the Giants get a win. I mean, it definitely was Derek Carr that I think lost the Raiders this game and not the Giants winning, because the Raiders did have multiple times to capitalize on where they were. And I think it was more Derek Carr's downfall than the Giants prevailing, because in any other situation, they end up scoring a touchdown with that 45 seconds left if Carr doesn't fumble.
Yeah, the Giants, to their credit, though, the red zone defense was outstanding this week and last week. Looks like Patrick Graham has got that unit figured out. They might be Swiss cheese for the first 90 yards, but you can't get that last 10 yards on them. Andrew, tell us about these 4 o'clock games. A very weird window outside
Yeah,
of this
very.
first game.
Yeah, so first game was the Chargers traveled to Philadelphia to play the Eagles. Chargers won this game 27-24. Both quarterbacks looked good throwing. Justin Herbert had 2 touchdowns. Jalen Hurts had 1. Neither of them threw interceptions. The Eagles running game with Jordan Howard looked good again. He had a touchdown. And as usual, though, I mean, you expect more from the Chargers, in my opinion. I mean, the fact that against the Eagles, who are 3-6, and the Chargers have had to play some competitive games that they've ended up winning, to only win by 3 points against the Eagles, it's kind of almost a disappointment. I mean, do you feel the same way on that?
I'll tell you what it is. Chargers can't stop the run. They can't. They can't stop the run. They have zero chance of stopping anybody. Damian Harris whooped them last week. And they got whooped by Jordan Howard, Boston Scott, and Jalen Hurts this week. Chargers can't stop the run, and if they continue to be unable to do that, they will not go anywhere this year. Justin Herbert looked great. Like, he was outstanding in this game. Over 300 passing yards, 2 pass touchdowns, a rushing touchdown. Good bounce back week for him. Keenan Allen had 12 catches. He did great.
Yeah, definitely. And then next game we got is Packers versus Chiefs in Kansas City. Chiefs win this game 13-7. And the Packers didn't have Aaron Rodgers. They were with Jordan Love this week. And I get them only scoring 7. I get it. Stuff happens when you're with your backup quarterback. Okay, but for the Chiefs, I mean, I got to look at it again. Patrick Mahomes, 166 yards, a touchdown, and no picks. He couldn't do anything. I mean, this is this is a stretch of games that we don't see out of him. I mean, Darrell Williams had 70 rushing yards. Not a single receiver had over 100 receiving yards because he didn't even have 200 yards passing. I mean, the fact that they won this game, you definitely kick it up to the defense, but kick it up to the defense because they played against a backup quarterback and not Aaron Rodgers. So I'd put a little asterisk next to this game because, I mean,
Chiefs are concerning. Concerning. Um, the defense looks like it stepped up the last 2 weeks, or was it the fact that they played two horrid offenses? I mean, the Giants can't score at all. The Giants are a bad offense, and then the Packers playing with a backup quarterback, and Jordan Love didn't look great. He didn't. He had some big time throws, but a lot of really bad throws. They're gonna have to see with him. That's a problem for the future. But I really want to talk about Mahomes is a huge problem. He is a huge issue. He is becoming like Jameis Winston. He's allergic to taking the check down off of that huge read. He's looking for the big play always, and you know visibly watching that game, you saw, and Troy Aikman and Joe Buck did a great job highlighting it. Yes, I just gave Troy Aikman and Joe Buck props. I hate them, but they did a great job. Travis Kelce was getting pissed, like visibly angry on the field because Patrick Mahomes decided he wanted to roll out every play and try to launch something, launching it to Hill or Hardman or whoever in double coverage, in bracketed coverage, not open, and you got guys standing. Kelce, there was 4 or 5 plays where Kelce was just standing in the middle of the field, wide open, 15 yards of depth from the line of scrimmage. It's a 15 to 20 yard catch. Mahomes is just chucking the ball down the field. They got to get on the same page. They're not on the same page. Mahomes looks really, really bad right now.
yeah, no, definitely. I agree with all that. And then the next game we got is Cardinals versus 49ers. Cardinals stomped on the 49ers in this game 31-17. And you really got to credit that to one man and one man only, James Conner. I mean, 3 total touchdowns in this game, 2 rushing and 1 receiving. I mean, he's basically the reason that this game went the way it was because he came out very early with a bang. He had their first 3 touchdowns on the board, and then backup quarterback Colt McCoy came in and um
He played solid football.
yeah, no, I mean solid football, but he also had a touchdown that kind of sealed it away, and then 49ers just that's all it was. I mean, it was a beat down by James Conner and James Conner only.
Yeah, it was. The 49er defense is not good. They miss Salah, simply put, although Salah's not doing much with the Jets defense either.
Very true. And then the last game, the Titans versus the Rams on Sunday Night Football. Titans win this game 28-16. And I'm only going to say one thing, and then I want to hear what you got to say. This looked like Lions Matt Stafford last night.
He was pedestrian last night. He didn't look good. He looked a little bothered by maybe a foot, ankle. I don't know what it was. He didn't look good, but you got to give my whole thing. I'm giving the credit to the Tennessee defense. One of the interceptions should have been a pick. Stafford should never thrown it. He made a rookie mistake on the goal line. You can't on his own goal. You can't do that. But that would have been a 6 sack. They had 5 sacks. The Rams have allowed 7 sacks all year. They had 5 sacks in this game. 5. Tennessee has stepped up big time. They're at the top of the AFC and they deserve to be there. If I told you after watching them get spanked week 1 and being spanked in the first half of that Seahawks game, they ended up winning week 2, that they're the best team in the AFC so far this year and Derrick Henry's not playing and they just beat the best team in the NFC, you'd think I'm crazy. But the matter of fact is the Titans are crazy. They're nuts. I tell you that the defense goes from being the worst unit in the league to one of the top units in the league. Bud Dupree has stepped up. Jeffrey Simmons looks like an unbelievable draft pick that they've got. I mean, he was a guy who fell a little bit because he had a torn ACL in college. He's unbelievable. Jeffrey Simmons is a great football player. I tell you, and the Rams, they'll be fine. They'll bounce back. I'm not worried about them. Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods got going, and they continue to get going. Stafford just made a couple key errors. The line was not great last night either. The really realistically in this game is the fact that the Titans defense stepped up when they needed to. But that's really it for our Sunday games and Thursday night game. Tonight, we're going to pick this night game real quick because there's not much to say on this, and then we're going to talk about the playoff picture. The Bears travel to Pittsburgh to take the Steelers. This, for me, is going to be what quarterback plays better, and I'm going to take the Bears. I'm going to take Justin Fields. I'd rather have Justin Fields than Ben Roethlisberger. Ben is terrible. Simply put, period, zero. And Montgomery is back. So give me the Bears.
Okay, I can see where you're going with that, but I mean, even if Big Ben has a mediocre game, 200 yards and a touchdown, you still got Najee Harris and that defense you can rely on. Najee Harris, I personally believe, is going to have at least 100 rushing yards and a touchdown tonight. And I definitely think that Steelers defense can confuse Justin Fields because Matt Nagy doesn't know how to run an offense. So it's definitely going to end up confusing Justin Fields, and they're going to be able to capitalize on stuff like that. So I'm definitely going to take the Steelers -6.5 for all my sports bettors out there.
That's an interesting bet. I don't know that this game will be that close. We'll see. I mean, frankly, either way, we don't know what's going to happen. Both these quarterbacks are bad, and the only team that Mike Tomlin hasn't beaten in his career is the Bears, and I'm sure he's going to beat them tonight. But I'm going to take the Bears because I hate Ben Roethlisberger, and I don't think he's good. But let's talk about the playoff picture real quick. So far, what we have is in the NFC, we have um, Arizona, Green Bay, Tampa Bay, and Dallas are the, um, the regular teams in the division winners, and then because now the Rams have lost. I mean, they were a wild card anyway. Rams are in the wild card. So are the Saints. So are the Falcons. That's really interesting. Those last two wild card spots are up for grabs. If an NFC team can make it 9-8 or 8-9, they can win that spot, especially with the Saints having no quarterback now. And in the AFC, the Titans, they look like world beaters. They are the 1 seed. The Ravens are the 2. The Chargers are the 3 seed. Buffalo is the 4 seed. And in the wild card, you have the Raiders, Steelers, and the Patriots. Not the Chiefs. The Patriots. Patriots. The Patriots. And Patriots are half a game back from taking their division. Tennessee looks like they're running away with this division. There's still a shot for Indianapolis to make the wild card. I think they're a really good team, and I think they will get there, believe it or not. The interesting thing will be here, right here, Andrew. And this is my last thing. I'll let you say what you got to say, and we're gonna close out the AFC North guys. The Steelers, the Bengals, the Browns. They all can make the playoffs. They're all good enough. We'll see what they do. I think the Raiders also might fall out, but those teams. I mean, Pittsburgh's 4-3, Cleveland's 5-4, Cincinnati's 5-4. They're all right there. They got a real shot.
Yeah, as far as the playoff picture goes, I mean, I'm looking at it all here right now. Titans, Ravens, Chargers, and Bills, and same thing for the AFC with their NFC rather with the top 4 teams: Cardinals, Packers, Bucks, and Cowboys. I think all those teams end up making the playoffs. I think those are all honestly locks at this point. I don't think any of these teams are going to have so much of a downturn where that doesn't happen. But it's most likely just all up to the wild card spots. I don't think that, and the NFC, I don't see the Panthers holding on much longer. I don't know what the Saints are going to do with their situation. They're probably going to fall down. Seahawks, when Russell Wilson comes back, if they could win some more consistent, win some games down the stretch. The
Seattle
Bears.
team to watch.
I would love to see the Giants go on a little stretch since they did what they did. The Chiefs are still in contention. I mean, the AFC is really what you want to look at because you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams that are 5-4 right now. So they're all very close for that last wild card spot. So that's definitely something to look at.
Yeah, so that really wraps it up for this video. Thank you guys for watching Totally Overreacting. Next week, and you just said that the Seahawks looks like Russell Wilson is returning. He has confirmed it on Twitter. He is returning this week. So good for all you Seahawks fans. Maybe you'll make the playoffs. But thank you guys for watching, and check out our other videos. We're gonna hit you with the fantasy side tomorrow. So we will see you then, and we'll catch you guys next time.